In the last 10 years in the world of software products, we have heard a lot about design. And what I'm seeing now is confusion around design. So I would like to address today who is responsible for the design of a software product. Hi, I am Greg with Prickrell Consulting, and we should probably start by defining design. That's not done often enough, and I think this definition basically works. Design is a plan for creating an object, and here we're talking about a virtual object, a software product. What isn't so obvious is that we can do design from different perspectives, and design is different based on which layer we're working on in the application. So let's look at those two things. If you've watched my vlogs, if you've taken my courses, you know that I talk about the functional and technical perspectives. Functional perspective is outside in. I know the inputs and the outputs, maybe with tons of detail, but I don't know what converts an input to an output. I don't know anything about the implementation. That's the functional perspective, really important because that's how customers see your product. There's also a technical perspective, and in the technical perspective, I know what's in the black box. I know something about the implementation. In the software product world, there are a couple of disciplines that are responsible for doing design from a functional perspective. That is product management and user experience, or UX. And they have to work together to design the whole product. And here I like to refer to my favorite quote from Steve Jobs. And Steve said that design isn't just about how something looks and feels. Design is about how something works. So if we think about an application, let's say we think about a billing system. So a billing system does a lot of stuff. I have to set up subscriptions, those are pricing plans. I have to do the billing itself, calculate how much a customer owes. I then have to do the invoicing, where I send them a document that tells them how much they owe and what they're paying for. So a lot of things happen on the back end. And product managers, you have to describe what should happen there with enough detail so that engineering can figure out how to implement it. You don't just hand off a bunch of requirements and hope engineering builds the right thing. Well, in this case, it turns out that the billing system also requires interaction with users. That is the domain of UX. That is what they are responsible for. Figuring out how users are going to interact with our product and making that a great experience for users. And sometimes in doing their research, they find out that to create the experience they need, the back end needs to be able to do some stuff that maybe we didn't foresee. So maybe somebody who's working in subscription management also needs to get information about billing or needs to leverage some of the UI for billing. So as a product manager, I would change my functional design to talk about those things. I would update the requirements as well, and then engineering would have to implement that. But the key point I want to make is that design is not the exclusive domain of UX. They are designing what's at the surface. You, product manager, are designing the product end to end. You're accountable for that. But from a functional perspective, and then there's also, from a technical perspective, something called system design, where I design the implementation of these things. So I hope that provides some guidance. I would imagine I've ruffled a few feathers from my personal experience in my career and working with clients. I actually see, in this respect, the tension between UX and PM maybe growing in some circumstances. Last place I worked, UX stood up and said, "We own the design of the product." And I had to push back a little bit and say that they own the part of the design that interacts with users, but the entire product has to be designed, both functionally and technically. Hope this was helpful. I will see you next time.